do you know what happens this year? Ask yourself, do you know what happens this year in the crypto market? The halving. The Bitcoin halving. The Bitcoin halving is a programmed event that happens every 210,000 blocks. So it's roughly every 4 years, where the reward for mining new Bitcoin blocks is halved, right? So the miners actually receive 50% fewer Bitcoins for verifying transactions. Halving is designed to control the supply of Bitcoin. So, supply and demand. The halving event is significant because it reduces the rate at which new Bitcoins are created, directly impacting the supply. With a decreased supply, and assuming constant or increasing demand, price could potentially rise, although market dynamics could vary, right? One thing that I do know is a decreased supply, even just with a steady demand, understand markets could rise. And there's a supply shock loading. By limiting the total number of Bitcoins to 21 million, halving events underscore Bitcoin's proposition as a deflationary currency. So it increases its long-term value. It doesn't create new assets. There's no new Bitcoin created. The US dollar, they can print more of these dollars every single day. There will only be 21 million Bitcoin. The only ways you can even acquire a Bitcoin is by buying it or mining it. By mining Bitcoin, essentially what Bitcoin miners are just people that are verifying transactions, and they get a reward for verifying this transaction. Now, if every 4 years the actual rewards decrease by 50%, and the only ways you can actually get this asset is by mining it or buying it, this actually creates a deflationary currency. And long term, it will rise because miners, it's going to be more difficult to mine. So you're just going to have to buy it if you want this limited asset. Each halving significantly impacts miners. The rewards are reduced massively, and it creates more competition amongst miners. It makes it harder to mine Bitcoin. Imagine a limited asset of only 21 million, and now it makes it even more competitive to get access to this limited asset. And more people become more efficient, create better technologies to keep up with this demand. With the next halving approaching, guys, it's a critical moment for investors, miners, and the broader community to understand its implications. Historically, halving events have been associated with increased interest and speculative community in the months leading up to and following the event. There's very historical timing. Let's take a look. This is the Bitcoin stock to flow model. This is actual Bitcoin. You guys can look this up on Google, the Bitcoin stock to flow model. And as you guys can see, from the inception of Bitcoin, this is the color code of each cycle. Each cycle will start off blue. Blue is the parabolic cycles. Then it'll get to the dark blue, is when it creates its 90% retracements. Then when it gets more darker to the purplish, the purple is when it starts the halving. Purple is the halving, and when it starts actually going up after the rewards get cut in half. The red is, kind of like the last run up, and then it creates the orange, and then the green is kind of like when it tops out. We see a green cycle, a blue. Then when it gets to purple, once again, we get one run up, we get the red, the orange, and then the green is ultimately the top. Once it starts getting green on the stock to flow model, you know you're at the top. Once it starts getting into the blue, you know you're at the bottom. Once it starts getting towards the purple is when we get close to the halving. So historically, whenever it hits purple, the halving, we go up exponentially. We rise exponentially, and we top out at the green. This has never failed. The cycle has never failed. Once we've reached the blue and we've reached the purple, we go up and we hit a red, orange cycle, then a green cycle. And historically, this has never failed. This has never not done this. And right now, we're in the purplish range. The blue is over, and we're now in this range. We're in the purple. We're nearing that purple. And the purple, as you guys can see historically, has been the most profitable times to purchase any sort of Bitcoin. So what do you guys think is next? With the Bitcoin stock to flow model, looking at previous history of the dark blue, and now we're heading into the purple. What do you guys think is next?
Now, that alone is just a fundamental indicator of the Bitcoin rocket that's slowly loading up in the market. Now, let's look at the technicals. One of the biggest things to actually notice here on Bitcoin is that every single time we break a new high, statistically proven, every single time a new high is broken after a 90-80% retracement, statistically we always go above 2000% in returns. Now, the next high over here, after we broke this high, statistically always, whenever Bitcoin breaks a new high right before halving, will always go up massively. So seeing where we're at, I called out an entry to Instagram for us to start loading up on Bitcoin about 2 to 3 months before the halving. Now seeing that the halving is coming up in the next 14 days, sometimes even 10 days, depending on when you're watching this video, or the halving may have already occurred by the time you're watching this. Be in mind, every single time Bitcoin breaks a new high, statistically it always at least doubles in price, right? So don't expect the 1,000, 10,000% gains, but statistically, after Bitcoin breaks a new high, as shown before previously, it went from 20 to 60. Statistically, when it breaks a new high, you can always expect it, and you can always see us to at least double from here. So I'm expecting at least 100, 120,000 on Bitcoin. We're about 10 days out from the halving, so the Bitcoin rocket has already started and is only going to continue. So it's only something that you should participate more of into leading up into the halving. The exact countdown is we have 11 days and 3 hours until the halving, which is on April 18th. I would accumulate as much cryptocurrency as I could possibly leading up into this halving, and even 30 days after post halving. But anything after post halving 30 days is a little bit too late in my eyes. If you're accumulating late into the halving, after the halving, anything 30 days after the halving, you're probably already too late. Now, if you guys haven't noticed, I've been in this space now for over 5 years. I've already been through a bull run or two, and I've actually been able to see the wins, the losses, the projects that are successful and unsuccessful in the crypto space. And if you would like to follow alongside this bull run with me, be in my exact projects, get my entries and exits, and be able to get a look into my exact portfolio, head over to the link in the bio. It's currencyconnect.xyz, and you can go ahead and fill out this short form, see if you can qualify to become a student of mine, and you can actually enroll today in the Crypto Connect course and ride this bull run alongside me and my team.